Hello again, welcome back. I swear I do always film in this room, but it's the only room where we've painted the walls yet so far in this house, so it just looks nicer. But anyway, I'm back with a little pregnancy Q&A since I kind of just jumped on and told you guys that I was like having a baby in 3 months. I asked over on TikTok and Instagram for any like pregnancy or general questions that you guys wanted to ask, and I'm going to answer them. I swear, why am I so out of breath? I'm literally just standing up. I have my questions down here, so I guess we'll just jump in. How did your gestational diabetes results go? I'm waiting on mine too. Planned second home birth, fingers crossed for you. Thank you. Firstly, I'm actually so surprised at the amount of people that do home birth. I know that sounds really weird, but before I looked into it, like I never really thought it was much of an option. Then I started looking into it and there's actually loads of people that do it. And I can see why, like, I'm such a massive advocate for home birth now. I always just felt like it wasn't this like dumb thing that like most people went to the hospital, but there's actually tons of people that do it and I love that. Anyway, the question, my gestational diabetes results came back negative, which is such a win. Even though I did decide that if I could get my levels controlled, that I would still push for a home birth. After like everyone's lovely comments and advice, that is actually possible. But luckily I don't need to fight it. They did have to refer to a consultant midwife because my BMI is a little bit high. They didn't even want to see me. They said they're happy for me to have a home birth and it's all like signed off on their end, which I'd have done it anyway, but it's nice to know that it's signed off and I don't have to fight it. But I'm hoping your results come back negative too and that you get your second home birth. Have you noticed any differences between boy and girl pregnancies? I don't know if it's just because obviously last pregnancy I rested a lot more and this pregnancy I'm like chasing after a toddler, but this pregnancy has been so much harder. Like Theo's was overall a really smooth pregnancy. I think I was like 37 weeks and still going on like whole days out and walking all day, whereas like this one I will walk for like 10 minutes, I'll be like dripping with sweat, pelvic girdle pains like killing me, I'll be like so out of breath. And I don't know, I'm also a little bit bigger like size wise this time around, so it could be something to do with that. I think they generally say like girls steal your beauty, and I feel like I definitely had more of that with Theo. Like my face isn't as puffy as it was when I was pregnant with Theo. I'll see if I can find a picture to put up there. I feel like overall I kind of look the same, just with this like massive bump. Pregnancy while chasing after a toddler is not for the weak and it is brutal. I think the main thing I've noticed, and this isn't really a difference between like girl pregnancies and boy pregnancies, but just between my two pregnancies. With Theo, I had a anterior placenta, so it's at the front, whereas with this baby, the placenta's at the back, and the difference in movement is insane. Like, I can feel her literally like moving her arms and legs, like it feels like there's a baby with like loads of limbs in there moving. Whereas with Theo, I had to concentrate on the movements a lot more, and they definitely weren't as strong. And even Ben, when he like feels my belly, says like the movements are so much stronger than he ever felt with Theo. How did you and Ben meet? We actually met on a camping trip with our friends. So I went with like my friend, and then she brought her boyfriend and his friends, and obviously he was one of like the boyfriend's friends. And to be honest, not a lot actually happened on that camping trip. Like we kind of eyed each other up a little bit and had a bit of conversation, but nothing really happened on the actual trip. It wasn't until I got back home and Ben sent me a message and I kind of just like went from there. I feel like a lot of people just assume we like met on Tinder or something, which there's nothing wrong with that, but no, we did actually meet in person, which was kind of cute. Is this your last pregnancy or planning for more kids? I don't know is the answer to that. I think like realistically for like financials, obviously we've got 2 bedrooms, 1 for each kid at the moment. Logically it would make sense to just stick to 2. I just kind of feel like in my gut that I'm not done yet. Like this isn't supposed to be my last pregnancy and I've not really treated it as my last pregnancy. That being said, I don't think we would have another one for a couple of years now, and I think we'd have to be definitely in the position to do it. I think both of us just kind of want to enjoy having 2, and to be honest we might get to having 2 and think yeah that's enough. So I don't know is the answer to that. It might be, but it also might not be. I think we'll just have to see kind of what happens in the future. Was this baby planned? Sorry if that's rude. No, it's fine. This baby actually was planned. We started trying a little bit on and off around the time of Theo's first birthday. I didn't fall pregnant until February 2020, what year is it now? 2024. Some months where we like fully tried tracked ovulation, like really went for it, and other months where we didn't as much. And funnily enough, it was on one of the months where we didn't try as much that she was actually conceived. I did track ovulation that month, but I was just knackered and we only actually had sex like once that month, like during my ovulation period, and that time it just worked. Which is really weird because there are some months where we tried a lot more and nothing happened, but it just works how it works, I guess. Do you plan on breastfeeding the baby? I do. If you don't know, I did breastfeed Theo for almost 2 years. He kind of weaned himself off once my milk started to dry up from being pregnant. But we did breastfeed for nearly 2 years. It did take him 3 months to latch properly, and I pumped exclusively in that time, which was a killer. So I am a little bit nervous for like the cluster feeding first part of a newborn, because I've obviously never done it before. And I think doing that with the toddler to try and keep entertained is going to be really difficult. But I really hope I can stick at it, and I would like to breastfeed this baby for like, I'd say like at least 18 months, and then we'll kind of see what's going on. Are you scared to give birth again? It's a difficult one because I am really excited to give birth, and hopefully if like it goes the way I'm hoping it will be a nice birth, but at the same time I am shitting myself a little bit. I don't know if it's just because it's like my second time around, and I don't really remember what it felt like, but I remember it being so painful. I think obviously there was like trauma from my first birth, so not necessarily scared of giving birth, I'm scared of it like not going how I want it to go and ending up with like trauma from it. I've done a lot of prep and work, and I feel like if it does get to the point where I end up going into a hospital or end up having a C-section, I think it'll be for reasons that I'm like, yeah, fair enough, that needed to happen. And I think as long as like certain things go the right way, I should feel alright about it. So yes and no, I would say. I'm excited for the possibility of like this like beautiful home birth, which would be lovely, but I also know that it's gonna suck and it is gonna be painful. In the end, it will obviously be worth it. Do you feel prepared for baby number 2? No. Started off really well. I started like nesting at like 20 weeks, and then I just kind of gave up, and I haven't really sorted out much. I think, again, I don't know if it's because my second pregnancy or like my first pregnancy felt so long, just because I felt like we were just waiting to like get to a point where like I felt like I could nest, and then just like waiting. I wasn't busy, I was just a lot of waiting, whereas this time I've just been really busy, and honestly I'm still like in shock that I'm as far along as I am. Like I'm in my last trimester, but in my head I'm like, oh, I'm only like 15 weeks, I've got ages, and then I'm like, oh shit, no, I actually don't have ages. This is the current state of her room. Still stuff left over from my painting because we need to do the skirting boards. Got a few bits out. She's got some clothes. This all needs to go on Vinted. It's boys' clothes. Yeah, no, one thing I definitely am is not prepared. I'm doing like intensive nesting series over on TikTok and Instagram to like actually make myself do it. So each week I'll be doing like her clothes, next week I'll be doing like postpartum bits, next week I'll set up for the home birth. And I think if I'm like, okay, I need to film this video, then I'll make sure I have to like go out and buy the bits, and I'll make sure I actually do it. Because at the moment I've just been putting it off, and I don't really know why. Well, I do know why, it's because I'm knackered and I can't be asked, but it definitely needs to be done. Were you hoping for a specific gender? Yeah, I was, and I did actually say in my TikTok and stuff at the time that I was hoping for a girl, and I know that was quite like big to put out there, but it ended up being a girl. And obviously if it had been a boy, we'd have loved it anyway and we'd have been excited, but like I really wanted one of each. So I feel like if we had a girl last time, I'd have really wanted a boy this time. This will also be the first girl on my side of the family. My mum has 3 grandsons, and it could well be the last like baby in me and my siblings. So there was not a lot of like pressure from them, but they definitely wanted me to have a girl. So we were hoping for a girl, and we're very happy that it's a little girl. Although I keep having the fear that it's going to come out and be a boy, even though we've seen girl parts on like 3 scans now. But I just have a fear it's going to come out a boy, but he will wear lovely pink floral stuff because that's all I've got. But yeah, I think that is all of the questions. So if I missed any out, I am really sorry. As always, if you want more like real-time updates, follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I've put my username down below. And yeah, I'll be back next week for another video. Bye!